Hello everyone, welcome back to the
Pushing Horizon Podcast, the podcast where we lace up our shoes, chase big dreams, and dig deep into the stories behind the miles. I am your host Ash, and today we have a very special guest, Dona, a dedicated runner who has not only crossed 100 miler but is also chasing a Boston qualifier with a purpose and a heart. So let me introduce Dona to the show. Hey Dona, welcome to the Pushing Horizon Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I have been following you for a while. I think it's been ever since I started running. I know I've seen you doing the dopey challenge, the running marathons week after week, month after month, and it's been like how long has it been? 10, 7, 8 years, I think.
Yeah, I started running in 2018, in April 2018,
Yeah.
10, 11, 12, like 7 years. Yeah,
Years.
years,
Yeah.
7 years almost.
That makes sense because I started running from 2017, and then as soon as I started running, I saw you. We were in that Purple Cobra group or something with Luke. And
I know I was never part of the group,
oh,
but I was friends with them. So I wasn't part of the Purple Cobra. I was
yeah, Purple
brand new.
Cobras,
I
yes.
just arrived into You versus the Year.
Yeah, I also started it, but I did not do a lot because I've been on and off, on and off. But today is about you. So I know you quite well, but can you please give a quick introduction about you so all of our guests know about who is Dona?
Yeah, so originally I'm from Italy. I moved to the United States in 2013. First, I spent 7 years in New York, and then I moved to California, originally a doctor, and then I decided not to follow that path anymore and went into travel, which is what I used to do before going to medical school. And now I own a travel agency, and you will see if you follow me on social media that I am everywhere all the time. I don't sit still. You will see that in a year I will move from Los Angeles to Dubai to the Maldives to Italy to Switzerland. This was just the past 2 months. And that ties in really well with running, which has become my passion. I literally started, I wanted to do one race, one 5K to raise money for a medical unit that I was volunteering with. And then it literally took over my life and has become my greatest passion, my therapy, my everything. When I'm happy, I run to celebrate. When I'm sad, I run to get the endorphins. When I need to think, I run because it clears my head. When my head is clear, I run because it makes me happy. So I run all the time. And so traveling and running is a great combination. And with that, I'm involved in a few charities that deal with running because, as you said, I always try to do things with a purpose. So that's a little bit of who I am.
Yeah, I didn't know you had a travel because I always saw you were going somewhere and you're doing marathon and you were all over the place when I was looking at it and I was like, she's here, she's there, and like, oh God, she's. I thought you were just traveling, but I didn't know you had a travel agency. So
I do have a
okay,
travel
now I know.
agency.
So if I need to go anywhere, then I know who to call.
Exactly.
Who to say, like, hey Donna, hook me up.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you just gave a little bit of brief about your journey, but let's start at the beginning. Can you please take us back to when you really first started addictive sports?
Well, so I actually started running one day out of frustration. Like I was walking, I wasn't running, I was dealing with something at work, and I was walking really fast because I was agitated and upset. And then that walking turned into running. Mind you, I always hated running. I thought runners were stupid. As I said, I was volunteering for the Central Park Medical Unit, and I was in Central Park all the time. And a lot of these shifts started early in the morning. And so I would see all sorts of people running in Central Park. And I'm like, oh my God, what possesses you to run on a Saturday morning so early? Maybe it was like cold or raining or windy. It was awful. And I'm like, I know of a million other things that I could do with my time that do not include running in loops like a lunatic. I'm like, this is so stupid. And then I had to eat those words back several times. But yeah, there was that episode where my power walking turned into running. And I'm like, oh, actually, this isn't how I wanted to raise funds. I wanted to exercise. And I'm like, let me try and run. So I decided to download the Couch to 5K app. I started doing that. And then I was looking for a community because I know that if you want to do something that you don't like, you need to find other crazy people like you. I'm like, I know nothing about running. So I mapped like a challenge that's You versus the Year. And it's do you the challenge? And I'm like, sure, I'll enter the challenge and join the community. And I joined the community, and that then became my main group of friends. Keep in mind, I was new to United States. Really, I had almost no friends. So those became my friends. And once you have friends who run, then you're stuck, right? Because yeah, let's go for a
Yes.
run in the morning. And I was like, no, I don't want to run. I hate running. But then all of a sudden, I didn't hate it anymore because it meant community, it meant friends, it meant doing something good for my body. And then, of course, as I said, you get involved with charities and stuff like that. And my medical unit also supported New York City Marathon in Central Park. The first couple of years, I was actually on the medical side, and I will see all the marathoners. And I'm like, I will never be able to run a marathon. Look at me now. And slowly I started with that, and then it really took over my life.
Yeah, and I have to ask you now that you just talked about marathon, but look at you, you did a 100 miler. That is
Yeah.
insane. Comparing marathon and then a different ball game. But when you did that 100 miler, what was the experience for you? Like the physical aspect, the mental aspect, and the emotional aspect, because it is a lot of running and for a lot of hours, and it's insane. So, what was your experience for this?
It was definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. I signed up for this race to support a friend. I was supposed to pace a friend. So I had created a very conservative training plan for her. And I'm like, I'm going to pace you through the whole 100 miler. But if you, by any chance, drop below the pace, I know that you're not going to finish, and I will drop you, and I will continue to do it because I've invested so much of my time and resources and everything into this race that if there is even a tiny chance that I'm going to get this buckle, I want it. And she was like, fair enough. And we ran in Florida in September. It was 105 degrees. It was hardly any shade. It was a 2.5 mile loop repeated 40 times, one only aid station every 2.5 miles. It was enough to literally have somebody go out of their freaking mind. I think I did. At the beginning, it was okay. I did maybe 10 loops with my friend, maybe a little less. And then she started feeling the heat, and it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. And so she had to stop, and she downgraded to 100K, but I kept on going, and I was doing literally 1 minute run, 1 minute walk, 1 minute run, 1 minute walk. So I was doing that during the day when there was really high temperatures. And then when the night arrived, I started running and just running, and I would ice into my hydration vest so that it would keep me cool because it was so easy to overheat. I had built in 15 minutes breaks here and there because you also cannot stop for too long. Otherwise, your legs are not going to start again. So physically, it was incredibly challenging. My Achilles tendon on the left side had blown up. It was just so painful. I was chafed in places that I didn't know you could get chafed because I had, as I said, ice in my back, the hydration vest, but it was dripping down. So I was wet everywhere. And so I was chafed everywhere. Definitely undernourished because I hadn't anticipated how much food you would need for a 100 miler. Thankfully, the aid station had eggs and stuff that I could get, but I didn't have a lot of energy, and the heat was horrid. And so it was okay. I kept my pace. What really had to be strong was your mental game. I got to 50 miles counting up, and then at 50 miles, I started counting down because that helped a lot. Literally was a thing of one step at a time, one step at a time. You can do it. I got to the last loop. I had run 97.5 miles, and my legs were like, no more. We cannot take one more step. I wanted to vomit. At that point, the race director, my friend, and her daughter said, we're going to do the last loop together. You cannot 100 miler at 97.5 miles. So holding on to each other, we took one step after the other. And all I could think was, I never have to see the effing tree again. I never have to see the F slope again. The amount where words that came out of my mouth in those 2.5 miles, I think were more than what I've ever said in my entire I crossed the finish line at 100 meter, and I turned to my friend and I'm like, I love you, but I also hate you very much, and I will never do it again. So safe to say, I am never gonna do 100 miler again. 50 miles is the maximum that my brain is able to say yes to. But it was a great experience. I didn't die, so yay.
That's incredible. Because I know the Florida heat you talk about because it's totally different, not like any
Yeah,
other heat that you feel, and then it hurts. It hurts
it
when it
hurts.
is sun and when you say it. And so I'm pretty much all aware of that thing. It's not so fun. So when you cross that line, how did you feel? Like I know except for the swearing part, but emotionally, how did you feel? Because that's a huge achievement and not a lot of people can say they have done it. So what
I
was your
think
first
so.
feeling?
When I crossed the finish line, I felt numb. It's not like it didn't mean anything. I knew that I'd accomplished something incredible, especially considering the conditions and the fact that I had gone in and I wasn't really ready for it. And I was in so much pain that really my brain wasn't able to think much. I got my buckle. I said, okay, I've done it. But I was hurting so much that I was like, I cannot even fathom. I got to bed that night. I couldn't sleep. I was so wired and stuff, but I wasn't happy. It hadn't hit me yet. I was just in a lot of pain and happy that it was
Yeah.
done. Morning when I woke up and I went for a little walk, I just, as I was walking, tears started coming up and I'm like, I ran 100 miles. What was I
Nice.
thinking? And yeah, so the next morning was really emotional. I was like, I don't know how I've done that. I cannot believe I've done that. And I wasn't taking any drugs. I could not even blame it. It was just my own stupidity. But it was, no, it was hit me the next day.
It makes sense because I don't know how one would even walk because it's literally you're just running and running for 160 kilometers and then your leg is probably all screwed up,
Oh,
hips.
my feet look
How did
sad. I just cannot even. Everybody sees pictures of a ballerina feet inside the point shoes and they're all broken and like blisters. That's what my feet look like at the end of the 100 miles. It took me 2 weeks to find the will to run again. I know I was running 2 miles and then be like, I'm done. I don't want to run
yeah,
anymore.
makes sense because you just did this incredible thing and it's hard. It's hard. And then
Yeah.
it hurts, and then it just you need to have that mojo back again for those kind of things because it's an incredible achievement and that you did 100 mile it's immense. Because I know I have a lot of friends in Instagram who have done this and then it's hard.
Yeah.
Now we talked about your 100 milers. We can come back to the marathons. You have done so many marathons. I know
Yeah.
because I've seen the Instagram posts and everything. So out of all these marathons you have run so far, is there one that stands out as something meaningful or life changing?
I wouldn't say life changing, but I would say there was one very meaningful one. I have a friend who has lupus and it was a world major. It was Chicago. And I entered the lottery to run Chicago. I wasn't fast enough to qualify yet for Chicago. I am now, but before I wasn't. I got selected. And it was the year that she actually got selected too. And she had never run a marathon. And I said, okay, so I'm going to be your support on course. And she's like, you don't have to use, it's a world major. You're not wasting, you're using your chance to run Chicago to be with me. And I said, I don't mind, I'm going to be with you for the marathon. So we did that. And it was a wonderful experience because holy shit, she walks like a maniac. And so I did get my workout anyway. And it was a wonderful way to bond with a friend and other friends that we saw on course that were there to cheer us on. It was a fantastic experience. And then I believe that when you do something good, all good comes back to you. And next year, I got selected again to run Chicago. So for a second time in a row, I got into Chicago and I ran it and
Yeah.
it given back to me again. And then Chicago ended up being one of my PRs for a long time. It stayed for a long time. So that was always Chicago, both under the point of view of being support to a friend, and other one was making it a PR that then stayed for over a year.
Nice. And now you have done, how many majors have you done?
At 69. 69 will be the next one that I run. So 68 at the moment. 69 will be in July.
You have run so many marathons and now you are chasing the gemstone of marathons because
The
that is Boston
unicorn.
and everybody, yeah, the unicorn and everybody wants to get qualified for it. And also you need to have some cushion on it because otherwise who knows what's the buffer next year. What will that mean to you on a personal level when you reach that goal?
So I already qualified for it. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough because it ended up being that they needed, with all the people that qualified, they started taking people in that had 5.5 minutes. They upped the standards. So my qualifying time was
Yeah.
supposed, I had around 3:53. Now they've lowered 3:50. I don't think I'll need to have another 5.5 minutes of cushion, but I will need to have at least 2 minutes. I need to be able to run at 3:48. I have a fantastic coach now that specializes in that. So I now have a
Okay.
completely different training plan that before I was doing one speed training a week. Now it's two. I was running 4 days a week. Now it's five. I've incorporated strength training, and all of that requires a lot of mental and physical commitment. So you really have to want it. It's not just a normal
Yeah.
marathon that I know I can finish with my eyes closed now, especially if you don't go in competitively. You're just like, 26.1 miles. I can take my walking breaks. It's not a problem. It's okay. This is one where you don't even stop at aid stations because every second that you lose is the second that could cost you your qualification. So you really have to be committed to your early mornings, your training, your intervals. You say no to going out in the evening because you have to get up early in the morning. Say no to maybe some events because I cannot put together like my 20-mile runs and your party or whatever. It's taking away time from families, from friends, other activities that maybe you would want to do more because you've dedicated your life to that goal for the next 6 months. Is head down, grind, and do your best to get there. Boston is not the most prestigious marathon. There's other marathons that have higher qualification standards, tighter. They want you to run faster than Boston. But I think Boston is, as you said, the gemstone of the marathons because it's identified as something that is really meaningful. People who run Boston have that mentality of, I'm dedicating myself to this goal for a long time. It's a great achievement. I am not the best runner, and to me, it means everything because I came from nothing. I came from being the one that said running is stupid and seeing people doing loops and going, you're out of your freaking mind. And so it was quite the journey for me to go from running stupid to I'm saying no to a lot of things because this is my goal now. And so it really represents the closure of a cycle, right? I know there are better marathons, Boston, but none that means as much to me as Boston.
In that note, what has been the biggest challenge in your life to qualify so far?
So I think really has been the time and having to say no to other things because my life is extremely busy. I have a job where my clients need me at any time. For example, I have a travel agency and a lot of times we deal with schools going out. So if something happens to a child when they're traveling, they go out for days for tournaments and things. I'm called 24/7 when my clients travel, and I have a lot of clients. So I get calls in the middle of the night. I know that there are certain clients, and when they travel, I need to be within 2 minutes from my computer because there may need to be a flight change, an emergency, somebody getting sick. And it has happened where a group on a boat this summer, and one of the people was so sick that they had to be evacuated from the boat with a helicopter brought ashore, needed to have the medical team on call, hotel for this person to wait for them to finish. It was really bad. Imagine if I had been out there and be like, sorry, cannot deal with you. I got another 20 miles to do. It's the fact that I would like to be running outside, but I have to run on the treadmill in my garage because try and do 20 miles on a treadmill in your garage is like the death. So, but you do it because you are dedicated to that, right? So it's a challenge. You want to get to a goal, you want to reach a certain performance peak, and you're committed to it. And so you do whatever you got to do, right? So a lot of times really is the time, the problem with me and with my job, and not being able to have set amount of times that I can set apart and know that I'm not going to be needed. And I just always try to make it work.
Yeah, that is tough. So now you have this goal in sight, right? So you are trying to go for it again, and you have tried it before. So what are you doing differently now than what was done before in your previous races?
Two things. First of all, as I said, now I have a coach that specializes in that. She overhauled my training plan because now I had to be really competitive. And also, she gave me a lot more belief in myself. Like, I've always been the one that I'll never make it to Boston, and says, you have so much potential. You have no idea. You're just not training. Under her guidance, I feel like now I have that chance. The other thing is actually it has been myself, because I have the tendency of spreading myself thin a lot to help other people, to do things for other people, to step in and help, and to, I don't know, be part of other people's lives in a way that it's not always needed. It's just my nature, right? I want to help. I want to be there. I always say yes. I started saying no. I started saying this doesn't serve me, and this is not an emergency. So now I need to prioritize my rest. I need to prioritize my diet. Before, for example, I always felt the need of following with, you're out with friends, get a drink or two or three, right? And now I'm like, no alcohol. And I'm feeling so much better. My stomach is not upset because my stomach doesn't handle alcohol very well. So even one glass of wine is, I'm feeling it, right? And then you don't sleep well. And then when you get up in the morning and you want to run and your legs are like, we're doing this. But now that I'm drinking, I'm like, okay, let's hop on the treadmill, let's go around, let's take the dog on a 10-miler, whatever. Prioritizing me, saying no to going out a lot of times. I've never been a big party person. Going out is like a dinner. I'm in bed at 8:30, but really prioritizing me and what I need to be in good form to train for this goal that I have.
Yeah, and that is very important, because if you are doing these kind of big events, then you need to focus on yourself. Otherwise, it's hard, and especially the alcohol is so bad, because when you drink it, then the recovery is bad, the HRB is bad, and that plays
Absolutely.
a huge factor
Yeah.
the next day. So
Mhm.
same thing happens for me too. That if I drink it, then the restless at night, and I cannot sleep. My recovery is low, and then
Yeah.
next day it feels like it's almost worse. So, like you, I'm also like one glass. It's
Mhm.
enough for me. And I
Yeah.
drink non-alcoholic beer. In
Mhm.
Germany, that's a good thing
I
about
like
here, is you
that.
can find
Yeah.
like it's
Mhm.
so if you want to drink a beer, I just always drink a non-alcoholic beer. Even if I go to the pub, I get non-alcoholic. So it's like you get the flavor, and you don't need that
You
buzz,
don't
because
need the
that's
alcohol.
really hard.
Yeah.
If you, yeah,
A
you get
healthy
those, you can
boundary, I would
yeah.
say, is what I do.
That is what you need, especially if you want to do these tougher races, and you have to be disciplined with your body too, because you cannot go party and say, "Oh,
Exactly.
it works if you're 20, but not to us." Yeah, as we get older, the recovery is longer, and it
Right.
takes a lot of time to get over. Especially the drink is the worst.
Exactly.
And you are doing something cool as well. You are doing the Marine Corps Marathon. It's the 50-year anniversary. Are you planning to do something unique for the day or anything afterwards?
One of the reasons why this marathon was chosen is that because it falls exactly on my birthday. That is my birthday week. And actually, I have a whole lot of fun planned for that week. I am going to leave a week before the marathon, and I'm going to go to Orlando because, as you mentioned, I ran all the Disney races.
Disney.
So
Yeah.
now this year, unfortunately, they put Wine and Dine on the same weekend of the marathon, but I still wanted to do something in this. And they just opened a
Okay.
brand new amusement park in Orlando at Universal. So it's called Epic Universe. It actually is
Okay.
not quite open yet. It opens on May 22nd. And so I'm like, okay, so here's what we're going to be doing. Flying out to Orlando on the 19th of October. I'm going to spend 3 days at Universal just wandering around the parks and riding the rides. Then from the 22nd to the 24th, I'm going to be in Disney, and I'm going to run the 5K of the series of Disney. And I'm not going to do the 10K and a half because I would need to be in DC. So I'm spending
Yeah.
2 days there, and then I fly on Friday evening. I fly to DC. On Saturday, I pick up my package. On Sunday, my birthday, I will get up early in the morning, 52 years old,
And go run.
towing start line and running the 50th anniversary of Marine Corps. And then from there, I'm going to fly to Las Vegas to see two dear
Ooh.
friends, again, part of the running community, Candice and Ryan. They're going to be in Vegas for a few days. So I'm going to celebrate my birthday and and spending time with them for a couple of days in Vegas and then finally coming back to Los Angeles. It's a whole week of fun tied around racing and traveling, which are my two favorite things.
Vegas is a good stop after the
Yeah.
whole run and everything. That's a good final destination
I
for the
tell you,
birthday to
I'm
just go
gonna
and
have
have
a
fun.
drink there.
Yes, you deserve that after that, all of the fun and everything. And after the marathon, especially,
Exactly.
you need it.
Exactly.
And also, something really hard happened in 2030. Like 2023, we talked about a little bit earlier on. It was a really tough year for you, losing your
Hmm.
home to the fire. That
Yeah.
was chaos, like for your personal life, your
Hmm.
training, and everything. So, how did you cope during this time?
It was 2024 that I lost my home. 2024. It was hard because, of course, I had just bought the house. Literally, I would say 2 weeks before the house burned down, sitting on my couch, and I looked around and I'm like, it is done. Finally, it is as nice as I wanted it to be. So I just finished with everything and I was so pleased with it. It wasn't my ideal home. There were things that I didn't like about it, the location. There were certain things that I liked, others that I wasn't a fan of. But for all intents and purposes, it was my home, the first home that I really bought with my money, with no outside help. It was an investment. I could have sold it. I could have done a lot of other things. And now I find myself really tied to a mortgage of a house that I don't have anymore. And God knows how many years before I figure out what's going to happen. And so obviously that wasn't the ideal situation. And it was very tough for me because I was living in San Diego. I was renting. I was happy. I came up here for personal reasons that didn't pan out the way that I wanted. And such is life. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It's totally. And then when the home burned, my initial reaction was like, what the F? I'm like, what is happening here? I bought a house, it burned down. What am I supposed to do with this? And so I've had, I would say, a couple of months of really doing some soul searching. What now I find myself with nothing. And I could have gone down the route of and sadness. And mind you, I was sad, right? I wasn't just like skipping around going like, my house burned down, who cares? It's such life, right? It wasn't like that. But it wasn't, my life is over. It was, I am extremely resourceful. I have an incredible mental power and fortitude and resilience, which, by the way, I learned from running. And I can deal with anything that life throws at me. I am still standing. I still have a job. The two most important things, which are me and my dog, came out of there unscathed.
Dog. Yeah.
Everything that
Yeah.
was in there were just things that, thank God, I can buy again. Yes, I lost my home. Yes, I lost my memories of my mother that died. But hey, I'm standing. I'm right here. I wasn't hit. I wasn't injured. Thank God I have a job that I can do from anywhere in the world. And I was able to save
Yeah.
my computer, right? Because I had a backpack that I came away from, which still had my computer. And while I was sitting in this hotel waiting for the insurance to find me a place to live, I was working from the hotel. What a blessing to have something that took your head
Yeah.
away from what you just went through. And so it was really hard, but it really taught me. It didn't teach me, it reinforced the person I am. So I wouldn't call that a blessing necessarily, but it was a great lesson for me to learn. And in all honesty, a year after, now a year has gone by, I'm looking at my life and I'm like, it has brought so many good things in my life. And the progress that I have done in my personal life and in my business and in personal connections and things, it made me much stronger. And although it wasn't the way that I would have wanted to find out these things about myself, that's how it happened. And I am grateful for anything that will teach me that I can stand whatever is thrown at me.
Sometimes we have no control because things just happen and then we just have
Mm-hmm.
to adapt to it. I'm glad that you were okay. I saw something about that on the post and then I saw you and your dog being okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the most important thing, that you were okay
Absolutely.
and the dog, I know, the golden retriever.
Never.
Yeah,
Little girl, yeah.
he's cute.
She
Yeah,
want to woke
he
me
is
up.
cute. Yeah.
I was sleeping and she woke me up because she heard the firefighters banging at the door outside. And I was like, that's a bad smell. It's like
Yeah.
everything was on fire.
But yeah, everything is okay and you are not, I would say in a better place, but you are much more
Yeah. No, I
in a better
actually
spirit now.
I'm in a better place. There's
Okay.
a lot of good things. So would I have had it happen this way if I could have had a choice? No. But
Yeah.
didn't get the choice, and so I take whatever comes.
And when you were going through all this hardship and you probably were still running, so how was it for you? Was it like a healing space to deal with things or to escape from all this reality where, like you said, your mother's memories were all distorted and everything? So how did running played a role in this thing?
It really helped me keep my head busy and focusing on myself. I always say running is my therapy, and it really did. My body still moved. I was doing things that I love. I had my dog with me pretty much all the time. She runs with me a lot. It was the only thing that was left for me. And I had a lot of friends, like the community. My friends were amazing. Like they all got really tight around me and donations and things. I never lacked anything, and that's so thankful to people. And a lot of those people run with me. So I would go out on runs and I would have people going, I'm running virtually with you. It was so awesome. I never felt alone. I never felt abandoned. And all through things, running has been really the things that stayed constant. As a matter of fact, the very first thing that I bought out of the essentials, out of the toothbrush, some clothing, was a pair of running shoes. The next day, a friend of mine took me to the mall to shop. I literally got into some shops because I needed to get some essentials, right? And I couldn't buy anything. I looked at the prices, everything was super expensive, and I started crying. And I'm like, I can't. But you know what I let him buy for me? A pair of running shoes. We got into the Nike store. I saw a pair of, it was the Nike Zoom 3, like carbon plated and all of that. And they were really expensive. I'm like, I need those. And it's got you. So got my shoes, and that's all I needed in the moment. I needed to run. It was my comfort, and it helped me a lot to go through things.
It does. And some people say it's cheaper, but like you said, it's not, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you start like, yeah, you just need a pair of running shoes, but then you need a vest.
You need a watch,
Watch.
you need
Yeah.
race, you need
Yes.
and the races and all of that. It's not cheap.
It just escalates after
Right.
that.
Very fast.
And then you get addicted. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, I'm just going to run 5K. And then it's just like
And then it's
10K,
100
half
miles.
marathon. And then you did a 100-miler. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my.
Now, coming around to this topic of running and everything, when you are training, you said you do around 20 to 30 miles a week. So how does your typical training week look like?
So I will do 2 interval sessions, Mondays and Thursdays. Those are my 2 fast-paced, hard workouts. Then I do Tuesdays and Fridays easy runs. So I will do half an hour, so 5K, 10K, easy, like super slow. And that is the point of my coach. I don't want you to run anything faster. Those need to feel super easy on your legs. I don't want you to be keeping endurance pace. Those are just to get miles on your legs and just feel fresh. And then on Saturday, I have my long run, anywhere from 10 miles to 20, 22 miles, depending on where I am in the training cycle. Will be weeks where I am particularly stressed. Although I should have 2 days off, I will choose, instead of walking with the dog in the morning, to go on a very slow 5K. That will push my mileage to like maybe 33, 35 miles. It doesn't happen often, but when I'm really stressed with work and I get up with a lot of energy and I'm just like, I need to run, and I will put on my shoes and take the dog, and instead of walking, we're gonna go on a run. And it happens sometimes. Again, it's just and then I use up the energy, and I'm a lot calmer to start my day when I come back. And the usual cross training. I live close to the beach, so it's easy for me to get a bicycle there. I do strength training, a little bit of stretching and stuff like that every runner should be doing, and we're not good at doing it, but I will do a lot of that.
Yeah. Few things we should be doing, we do not do it.
Yeah, exactly. I got to do better with that.
I think we all have to do better with that. That is one thing. And I did a podcast episode with Alex.
Oh, yeah.
She's the owner of the movement ball, and I bought some of the balls she had, and it's, oh my God.
Is it?
It's so
nice.
good because I have foam roller, and then I got that. So it goes to the space where foam roller can never get to, and then the massage, it doesn't do. So it goes deep, and I can feel the tight spot. Like literally, it feels somebody is massaging you, and it feels, sometimes it's too much, but then it's good for you. And I've been using it ever since I got it especially on my quads, glutes. I use it every day before, after my run. And
oh wow,
like she said, you don't feel soreness, and it is true. And I've never recommended product to anybody any time before. And this is the first time after I wrote a review on Instagram, I told her like, it's the best thing you can
gotta
ever get. It's so good. That was money worth it. I got the Alpha Ball, and that's the one I mostly use right now, and it's so good. My quads are happy because I know that I have an imbalance on it. One side is a little bit tighter than the other one. So when I use it, the hot spot feels, and the foam roller can never get to that spot. So I'm happy that I invested in this
I will
thing.
look into that as
Yeah. If you have tightness, then it's gonna blow you
It's
up.
gonna
Like
help.
you will feel
Okay.
instantly.
That's
It's gonna help. Yeah, you'll feel it. I can guarantee it. And also you said like when we are in this competitive phase like you are right now, trying to get to BQ, it's not easy because you have to train so much harder. And then you said you are not a striker, and then you have days in between. So when you have this goal that sets the standard high, right? Because you have to push yourself a lot to get to that goal. So how do you listen to your body, and that moment comes when you have to push or pull back? So how do you decide on that?
I'm very good at listening to my body. So, when I feel like I'm in pain, not just a little niggle because maybe you haven't trained properly before, you let your training drop for a couple of weeks because work got in the way, life got in the way, right? And so when you start back, your legs are like, I don't want to do this. And you're just like, okay, shut up, legs. We're running today. And so you push yourself. But there are days where you're like, I'm dragging my leg, and I know that my form isn't ideal. Why am I dragging my leg? Because my groin pulling and stuff. And then you know that if I keep on going that way, I am going to get injured, and I cannot compromise my training because I'm running through the pain because I'm cool. I'm not cool. I don't want to be cool in that way. I'm cool in so many other, not that way. Don't want to suffer, to injure my body to the point where I'm not going to be able to reach my goals as close as possible to my goal, just because streaks had never been with me. I don't condemn them. They are right and pleasant for a lot of people. Head off to you if you're doing a streak. It's not my thing. I want my rest days. They're important to me. Mentally, they're important to me. And actually, I know that streaks mentally are important to other people for other reasons, right? So we're all different, to each its own. I like to really push my body when I have to. I like to really rest when it's my rest day. And I will literally push it into meditation, into light walk with beats in my ears, and just listening to affirmations, to anything that it's good for the soul. It's not just I'm not running today. My rest days are honestly an overhaul of my spirit. So a streak wouldn't work for me because I have different sort of priorities, I would say. And I believe that the way I lead my training is beneficial for my goals.
Makes sense because we all are different. Yeah. And I'm talking to so many people that do streak, and then it's their thing, and it's great because it's something they like and then they enjoy it. So kudos to them.
They
That's what I
should,
said.
they should. I know that it's, as I said, it's very beneficial for them, like mentally, like it's mentally beneficial for me not to do it because of how I perceive my training to be. I know that if I took away the streak from some of my friends, they would totally lose their bearings because that's what holds them in place, and they should, right? So streaks are great for certain type of people and not great for a certain type of people. So for me, I know that it's not great. So
yeah, I think the most I've done is 7 days or 8 days. I tried to do it around 2018. I think that was, or 2017. That was the time I tried it. I was like, oh, look. But then I was like, okay, no, that's not for me. It's too much. I like my days too, like you said. And now we're talking back again to the Boston territory because to get to the gemstone of a marathon, you need to get faster. And then you recently broke sub 25 for 5K and then sub 4 for the marathon, which is insane, which I've been trying myself too. So what helped you to reach these milestones?
A couple of things. One, a different type of training. So adding strength training to my running and adding an extra speed work during the week. So that made a huge difference because my muscles were stronger. So I was feeling fatigue a lot less. And when I do speed training, I ran much faster than the pace that I need to keep to go sub 25. So obviously I wouldn't be able to keep that speed for 3 miles, but I'm able to do it for intervals fast enough that when I slow down, then I can hold the slower pace for the 3 miles to go. The other thing has been belief in myself, which I didn't have before. I never really believed that I could get there. And so I didn't train optimally to get to those results. You become complacent. You're out on a run. You should do 10 miles at a certain pace. And you're like, I'm never going to get there anyway. Let me slow down, or you need to run a half marathon, you're out on your own. I'm like, let me cut it a couple of miles short. I'm tired. Who cares? And that's just the mentality of the hobby, right? This is not my job, but I take it seriously. It's something that I really enjoy and I want to do well. And the person who doesn't care because it's not their priority, then it's okay for them to be like, I'm not training for any races. If I want to run 10 miles instead of 13 today, I can. Who's going to run after me? That it was very much like I am in competition with myself. I now know that I can do better. I didn't know before. I had never tested myself because I never believed that I could be good enough to get there. And then when you start having people that instead believe in you and push you, and you were like the first time that my coach said, run a whole loop of running track at 7:30. And I was like, you're out of your freaking mind. There is no way that I do that. And she's like, start right now, go, I'll time you. And I finished and I did it in 7:21. She was like, you were faster than what I told you to run. It was mind blowing to me. I'm like, oh my God, I did it. She's like, of course you did it. I knew that you could do it. And I was like, okay. So starting to see that I reached certain goals was really a pushing factor for me to put everything I had into my training. All of a sudden, it was a possibility. So it increased the belief that I had in my capabilities.
We sometimes have that tendency, like when we doubt ourselves and we really don't push ourselves. Like you said, you were not really, I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can do it. We have that self-doubt and then we don't really try. And when I was doing this podcast with Milton, I think he has come out in a lot of conversation. He was the one who told me that getting out of your comfort zone is where the growth happens. Yes. So unless we get out of our comfort zone, then you don't really know.
Very
After
true.
talking to him and few other people, that's why I signed up for the ultra, was because of what he said. And that came to my head and I was like, I've been doing marathons and I have not been pushing myself and I don't know how much can I do. So now I am registered because he said that do it and then only prepare for it. Because if you say, oh, I'm going to train for it and then get a race, that's never going to happen because we are human. We don't really work like that. So I just did it and now I'm just like, okay, now I did it. Now I have no way. I have to train it. There's no other way to get around with
exactly.
it.
So. You got to do it.
Yeah, it's so now like how you did your 100 miler. It's not a 100 miler, but it's 56 just now I have to go and do it because I put myself to do it and I want to test myself if I can do it or not. And I was talking to him yesterday. Yeah, hopefully it's 950 meters elevation, so I'm dreading.
I understand.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, but we'll see what happens. But like you said, sometimes we do have to test the water and then we do have to go out of a comfort zone. Otherwise, we wouldn't know what we are capable of. And like you said, once then you're like, oh my God, I never knew I can do this. So sometimes you need that person to tell you that you can do it. And this third person perspective sometimes helps a lot.
Absolutely.
So now you are doing all this crazier thing. In your experience, what do you think matters more in training? Volume, intensity, or consistency?
100% consistency. If you only look at volume, then you can get injured. And the intensity as well, you cannot always be 100%, right? Actually, you shouldn't always be 100%. You go up and then you should come down. Your body needs to get used to a lot of it. You need to do is show up when you don't want to, show up when it's difficult, show up when there's other stuff that it's more interesting, show up when it's raining, when it's cold, when it's hot, when you're tired, when you're sleepy, when you're excited, when you're traveling.
You're sad.
Do it, because then literally you can look back and say, hey, you can never predict race day or whatever it is, right? You're not given the gift of seeing the future, right? So you could have done everything right, then you're a DNF or you get injured or whatever while you're running. Something happened to me. I was super prepared for the London Marathon. Mile 4, a lady that was running with the phone in her hands clipped my shoe. I go flying, I destroy my knee and my elbows. And from there, what was supposed to be a sub 4 became a 5 hours and 15 minutes marathon because I got injured. But I did all well in my training despite the fire. And who am I going to be upset with? Nobody. Why? Because I showed up, because I did what I needed to do. And then that became the good basis for running at the end of the year, an hour and 40 minutes half marathon, which I never thought it was a 7:49 minute mile for an entire half marathon. Never in my life I thought I could do that. And it's consistency is what you need, because if you're consistent, you get the results. If you only put on intensity or volume and stuff, if you don't do it right, they're not going to help you that much.
True, I agree. And like you said, you ran a lot of marathon just for fun. And so running is not always about the sunshine and PRs. So what keeps you showing up to the races on the tough days when the motivations are really low?
I know how I feel after I ran. And also, I may start the race or the run or whatever going, I really do not want to run today. And I've had runs where I was pissed the entire time going, I should be home. I don't even know why I'm out here.
Yeah.
But I do go out, and a mile or two into the run, I'm like, okay, I don't feel so bad. And then you finish it and you're still like, I really don't want to run. But I'd be a liar if I say that I didn't enjoy it. It's always good, like something happens in your body when you exercise. It's not just for me, it's running, but a lot of other people is the gym. They go and lift weights and then turn purple in the face. And you're just like, I didn't want to get here. Really, the difficult part is the getting to start. And I know that once I start, I think I can count on the fingers of one hand the times that I started and I was upset and I ended and I was still upset. And there was something that was a lot deeper than just, I don't want to run. I'd rather sit on the couch and watch, I don't know, junk TV, which I don't watch TV anyway. But it's once you start, it's hard to keep on not liking it. Started, and at a certain point, it shifts. You're just like, oh, okay. If anything, when you're about to finish, it's like, yeah, mother. And then you're happy with the miles for the day. And I'm like, I take off the shoes and throw them under the bed.
Throw it away.
Oh man.
On this topic, do you have some mantras or strategy, mental strategy that help you carry, like you said, when you were doing the London Marathon and then the lady clipped and then it's literally nobody's fault. She was doing something with her phone. And then at that point, it probably was so hard for you because you were going for a soft 4 and then now it's 5 hours, like 5:15. So when such thing happens, when you don't predict and when it gets really harder, like how do you prepare yourself, or do you have something, mental strategy that you go through and push through this barrier that you have?
Yeah, I repeat to myself things. I always say, piece of cake. When I'm running, when I'm struggling, I'm like, piece of cake, Donna. You've done this a million times. Why are you struggling now? It's in your head. Piece of cake all the time. And the other one is powerful. I'm all powerful. When you're exhausted and you've given everything and you have another 3 miles to go and you want to vomit, but you still have to finish, especially at the end of a marathon where you pushed and you pushed, like rival races, which are all downhill, but the last 3 miles are flat because you're coming from hyper speed for 23 miles. The last 3 miles, instead of feeling flat, they feel like you have 1,000 feet of elevation because your legs are like, oh no, we're not doing this. You're left in the tank. I'm all powerful. I can do this. I'm like, push, just go. You've done it a million times. Piece of cake. Those are 2 things and they work for me. And so I'm just like, I can do it. It's right there. I can see it. It's right there. Push. You can do it. All powerful. And I just go. So that helps me a lot.
So now looking back to your running journey, right? From the woman who hated running, when you saw people running, you're like, what the hell are they doing? So from that person, you have done now 69 marathons. So you're going to do 69 soon, right? So looking back at this whole journey from like, why the hell they do it to doing this 69 kind of thing, what's the one thing that you wish that you knew before about running?
I guess when I started, I thought that pace was everything, right? That if you weren't fast, you weren't a good runner. I learned that instead it's all about progress and it's all about having fun. At the beginning, I wasn't having fun with running. It was more not like a chore, but I always felt like I needed to achieve some sort of milestone. I have to be faster than my previous run. I have to I'd go further in my distance, right? I tackled really long distances very early in my running career. Like within 6 months of running my first mile, I did an ultra marathon. I did a 60K, 7 months. I hadn't even run a marathon yet. And I did an ultra marathon before running a marathon. This is how stupid I was, right? I did it well. I completed 60K in 8 hours and 5 minutes. So 37 miles. So I ran well, but it really took some joy away from running because I didn't do it for the sake of trained. I did it out of stubbornness and believing that it's what was expected. So if you're a new runner, take it easy. Don't believe the pressure that comes from the outside, making you believe that you have to do better. It's really you against you, and you can take it easy. Enjoy the running, build up your miles slowly. Don't get injured. I kept on getting injured time after time. I literally had to go to a running clinic in Houston to a fantastic coach that fixed the way that I ran, my form, my mentality also. I started becoming faster under her guidance because I was doing everything wrong. Because I tried to do things that I wasn't supposed to do when I was such a young runner, right? I had the misleading belief that it was all about performance instead of enjoyment. And instead has to be a combination of both. You will improve your performance as you enjoy your runs and your training.
Yeah, I always think that because if you don't love something, then you will not be good at it. Either it's your job, if you're running, because if you don't love this feeling when you're running out there in the trail and just going and having fun, then it's not going to happen. Because if you hate it, then it's going to suck, because it looks like a job, because you're doing a chores and just, oh God, I don't want to run. I wish I was in bed, like you said earlier on. That's kind of thing.
Absolutely.
I do agree that you have to love. And let's say like now somebody's tuning into this episode and they're listening to this right now. And what would you say to a person who just finished the line, like for the first ever marathon, and they are not sure, like they don't know what to do. They're just like, I just did it. So what would you tell to them?
Just follow your heart. Our paths are very different. There are people who run a marathon and they're like, never again, when they focus on a half, just like me with a 100-miler. Oh, hell no. Like people say never again, and then they go on and they run a million more. People say never again, and they actually do never run a marathon ever again, but they will stay on like lesser mileage. The half marathon or the 5K, 10K, they become super fast. They become sprinters. They find out that endurance is not for them, but they're more suited as sprinters, and so they will go in there. People are like, I really hate running and I will never run ever again. Follow your heart. Your heart will let you know. For me, the path really was challenges because, as I said, I love traveling and stuff. I get bored very fast. If I only had the loop around my house to run, I wouldn't be a runner today. But because I get to travel, I get to see other countries, I get to run in different environments. Like running is one of the best things to explore new places. It's just great. You go places faster than you would by walking. So it's great if you run a race in a place, you get to see the best sights. The roads are closed for you. You get support on course with water and electrolytes and food and whatnot, and new friends. So, for me, it was just the joy of running everywhere. And then it became Disney, and how fun it is to run in the parks with nobody and all the characters to myself. And it became the world majors. And I'm like, oh my God, actually, I can run in the best countries in the world. And slowly things add up. So just let your heart lead. You don't need to run a marathon. You don't need to run an ultra. You don't even need to run anymore. Like you can just go out with your dog and do speed walking. Your heart will tell you is the right thing, and it can change any moment.
Or just 200 milers like she did.
No, don't hate your body.
So, hey, you never know. They might be like, oh, maybe now that's a sign. So that's the sign they might be waiting for. So here we go.
I have a friend, 100-miler. That's their thing. That the only thing they do is 100-miler, and bless their souls, made of steel. I am not.
No one can blame you. But you are getting towards the 100 marathon. So that is incredible achievement in itself. So I'm looking forward to that post when you said, hey, here you go, number 100. So it's coming. So now looking back into the future, like we talked about the Boston, and that's pretty much your main jewel stone at this moment. But beyond Boston, is there a dream race or big adventure on your running list?
Yeah, I definitely want to run Antarctica. I hate the cold. I despise anything that is cold. The fact of running a marathon in Antarctica really is my bucket list for two reasons. One, because it's Antarctica, right? How many times do you get to go there and run a marathon? And two, because it's so cold and I am pushing myself way outside of my comfort zone for that. So I'm looking to do that in 2027. So I already have things in place, making it a whole adventure. I want to go to Patagonia. I want to do the Antarctica marathon. You do it with the tour operator. You get on a boat, you go down, you explore Antarctica, you do Patagonia, and then you come back home. And I may just squeeze in a visit to Buenos Aires just because.
Have you ever run in the cold?
Yes, I have. I hate every second of it. The cold coldest I've run into was 18 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know, minus something, -5, whatever. And it wasn't the entire race. It was just waiting for 2 hours in that temperature with Mount Charleston up at the top of the mountain with piles of snow around us. And I DNF that race half. I cannot go through with these for two reasons. So that was that was the first one. The second one was at another rival race because I was sick. So that was a completely different thing. But Charleston, I was so cold and I was aiming at a BQ. And within the first 5 miles, I had already burned through the 12-minute cushion that I'd given myself to end the marathon. So I knew that I wasn't going to get my results. I was too cold. But Antarctica isn't going to be a PR. If I need to run slow, I'll run slow. It's okay. It's not a problem. I know that it's not going to be sub 4 or possibly sub 5 even. It's more kind of, I hope to cross the finish line in one piece. So that's it.
Or not frozen.
No, I've survived and I haven't turned into an ice statue. That's all I want.
It is hard. So in Berlin, it snows. So the most I've run is -12 Celsius.
Yeah.
And it is cold. And that's what I said. Have you ever run in cold? Because like when I came, then my the face mask would all be white,
frozen,
covered in snow with the frost. Yeah. So, because you breathe on it, right? So you breathe on it and then it's.
Yeah, I was in New York. So New York gets really freezing during winter. I don't do very well. And even when you breathe, you're breathing cold air and your lungs are like, oh, that hurts.
It is tough. Okay. And in the same topic about future and stuff like that. So thinking about long term, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave, either in the running world or within your own sort? Oh, it's deep philosophy.
That's a very deep question. I would say that running is joy. Even the days that you don't want to go out and run, running is joy. It's an amazing thing that you get to do with your body, and you're so blessed that you get to do it, right? The fact that you can move your body, see things, push yourself, or just take it easy and really ponder your life. Such a blessing that I really equate it to love and joy and beauty. Look at running and really any type of physical activity as a blessing and something wonderful. And then literally, I have always cherished the sense of community that running creates. Like runners, even if you've never met, I find when I run on the street, you see another runner and there's always, hey, you speak the same language. A runner is always a friend. A runner is always somebody who does the same thing, that it's committed to the same things that you're committed. As we said, when it's not easy, when it's cold, when it's hot, early, when it's dark, you're out there, you're doing the same thing, you're chasing the same goals, right? Immediately, you are a community, you are a family, and it's wonderful. And I really hope that people accept the fact that it is a different breed of athletes runners are, and I really hope to carry on that legacy that running is community and running is joy.
Yeah, you might have what is the highest world record for marathons that a person has done? How many is it?
I don't know. I would need to Google that. But there are some people who are like a crazy person, and I say crazy in a good way, who ran a marathon each day for a month or something. I don't know. But I'm just like, oh my God.
I remember.
Yeah, it was on the news, and this person ran a marathon today, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I cannot walk for 2 days after. So the idea of running another marathon the next day, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, yeah. Good on you. Yeah, my poor feet.
I think there was a lady who didn't have half amputated. I think she ran on she ran I think for 31 days or something. But I've seen somebody run for years, so I just wanted to see how much do you have to do to break it.
Oh God, that's not one of my goals.
Okay, so now we're gonna move to a little bit of fun section and just talk about the gears and gadgets that you have. So you run a lot, like you said, and then you just talked about Nike Vaporfly.
The Vaporflies. The Vaporflies, Alpha Flies. Yeah, the Alpha Flies are their elite one.
So let's talk about that for a second. What running shoes are you in love right now, and what made you choose that?
So I do Nike. I don't favor them specifically. Between Nike's Alpha Flies or Vaporflies, Puma, the Faster. I love the Puma Faster Elite Pro, and I love the New Balance as well. Their fuel cell, I think it's Elite Pro 3 now, what they are. Those three are the ones that I rotate through. They are all carbon plated, very responsive. It really depends on Alpha Flies don't sit well with me for longer than a half marathon. It has to do with how wide my foot is. They're fantastic shoes for me for a half. If I want to go on a full, then it's the Puma Faster. Big Foot sleeps right. They're very comfortable, very responsive, pretty cushion. I love those. And the Fuel Cell, the New Balance, they're good. I find with my foot, and I know of a few other people who had the problem, side under the ankle bone is a bit high, and so sometimes it rubs there and it creates a little blister. So I think that it's the shape of your foot and how it lands on the shoe. The ones that I have now are fine. They don't rub there, and I love them for my long runs. So those are really nice shoes. So between these three ones, I used to run in Brooks. I have outgrown Brooks now. Feel very heavy for me, so maybe I could use them for training, but not for racing.
What are you using to track your runs right now? And are you that kind of person who checks data during the run, or are you gonna wait until the end of the run and just let's see how much or how did I do?
So I have a Phoenix 8, the AMOLED edition, so I can actually see this one in the dark, which I couldn't the other one. This is the best watch. I tried Coros once. It just we didn't vibe. It's a great watch. I did Phoenix, Coros, Phoenix. Phoenix is my favorite one. Garmin, as always, and I have all Garmin sorts of things, my scale and all of that stuff. As in looking at my stats, the only thing that I look at when I'm running is my pace. If I'm pace, and my watch is set up with giving me alarms if I'm above or below the certain that so I don't, or look at the distance. If I go out and I'm like, I don't know how long I'm gonna run, so I just go, and then at a certain point I'll be like, how long have I been running? I'm like, oh, 5 miles. Okay, time to turn around. But I don't look at how fast I did a certain types of miles and stuff. I just look at everything at the end. I am pretty obsessive about my stats, because to see my progress and how well I've done, or maybe I will remember that I wasn't feeling particularly well at a certain point of the run, and then I go and I'm like, how bad was this mile compared to the others, and why was I feeling, what was I doing different? So it helps me map out my training and how to make it better.
Makes sense. And also, are there any accessory or piece of gear in terms of hydration vest, socks, anti-chafing that you find out on 100 milers?
So I am actually one of those incredibly lucky people that the 100 miler were, and literally another couple of times where I was wearing a hydration vest that just scrapped me here. But if it's just my body and my regular running gear, I have never chafed in my life. I would say a hydration vest or a flip belt is great, so that you can put in, like, for safety, for being a woman and stuff. I carry my phone everywhere. I have a couple of apps on it where my friends follow my runs in real time. If I'm not home by a certain time, they know exactly where I am, because my GPS tracker sends them the exact location. Another app called Citizen, they are always on the lookout when there's a button that I press on the phone if I feel unsafe, and they will send out an agent to track me if I'm like, somebody's following me, I don't feel safe and stuff like that. And then, so for me to have my keys and my phone is not always, sometimes, unfortunately, they make like leggings for women with no pockets. Like I need to carry stuff like hydration, whatever you need, that stuff. A hydration vest or a flip belt, if anything, for the pockets and stuff. And to be honest, for some people, you should have access to a treadmill. If you're training specific paces, when you're out, even when you're on a running track, you are not guaranteed to keep the same pace constant all the time. And I feel for speed training, the treadmill is essential, because you gotta go, right? It's not up to you, or it's belt that runs at that speed. So you know that you're keeping that pace constant, right? Because even when you're out on the track, you get tired, you get distracted and stuff to turn, and it's not the same constant thing. While when you have the belt underneath you that goes, you just gotta keep going. So I feel, a treadmill is a very good thing for your training, and I would recommend everybody buys one or has access to one at a gym or whatever.
I agree. I also find it easier because you don't have to push yourself, and it's just about maintaining the pace, and that's it. And then you just recover or whatever, and then you just go back at it, and then you just maintain it. I like the speed for the treadmill as well.
Really?
And just for fun, has there been any product you thought would be life-changing but turned out to be utterly overhyped?
I would say a foam roller. know why? Because I think that the foam roller in
Oh
itself
boy.
doesn't do much. I have a massage gun that I think does a much better job than the foam roller. And I have recovery boots, and those work a lot better. The foam roller is just a torture instrument. I don't like it. I bought two and I don't use them. I gave them out.
I like it. Oh God. I did not expect that. So that was totally because I do use it sometimes now, but since I got the alpha ball, that's all I've been using. But it's useful on some places where if you need less pain. So
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, no comments on it.
Your community, she was really cool after that.
Yeah. So these were the regular questions. So now there is a section called a rapid fire. It's just a quick question, like a short answer. You just give me whatever comes to your mind first. So we'll go really quickly with this.
Okay.
Morning runs or evening runs?
Morning runs.
Treadmill or trails?
Meal.
Race you are dying to run but have not yet.
Venice Marathon.
Favorite race medal you have owned?
Favorite race?
Race medal.
Oh, any of the Disney races. They have the coolest medals.
Yes. Pre-race meal you always stick to?
Ooh, I have something sweet like a piece of cake or some sort of like very sugary cookie before I run a race. So anything that has a lot inside. I love to get a massage after a race. But for meals, usually some sort of protein I need to replenish. So usually we hit like a steakhouse or something like that.
I'm hungry now.
Right.
Most annoying running injury?
Ooh, Achilles problem. Usually it's what stops me. And also sometimes my sciatica nerves flares up a little bit. And so it slows me down. Not often, thankfully.
Those are painful. Music, podcast, or silence on long runs?
It depends. Usually it's music, but I also listen to books or podcasts. If it's a very long run, I'm just like, oh, just let me listen to a book, like an audiobook and stuff, if I need to catch up on something.
Rainy run or hot and humid?
Oh, anything but rain. Hot and humid. I will take hot and humid, anything wet and cold.
Most inspiring runner you follow? Oh, there we go, your friend.
I actually don't follow any major runner. I have a few friends that I follow that are super inspiring because they're very committed and they say as it is. Whoever is real in the running journey will have all of my attention.
Fair enough. Favorite race sign you have ever seen?
I would say there was one that said pain is temporary, but Strava is forever. So, oh my God, okay, we'll tell everybody.
I have seen that somewhere too. Last one. If you could run anywhere in the world right now, where would it be? I guess it's Antarctica.
Yeah, Antarctica. Actually, you know what? There is a race that I really would love to do again, and it's the Midnight Sun Marathon up in Norway. It's in June normally.
Yeah,
I did the half marathon and it was fantastic, but it was raining and it rained on and off. And the time when it wasn't raining, I stopped literally like every 10 minutes to take a picture because it was mind-blowingly beautiful. One of the nicest half marathons I've ever run. I did the half, not the full. And I would love to do it again because I feel like it was amazing. But there are so many others, right? One of the beautiful things about this world and having the possibility to run, right? So China, the Great Wall Marathon, so many. Sydney, hoping to do Sydney in August. Abbott sent a link to sign up if you're already 5 stars. They give you the chance to enter their own lottery. So I'm waiting to hear if I'm selected or not. So I'll be heading to Sydney in August. So we'll see. So many places that are spectacular and I can't wait to run them all.
Fair enough. I've only done one, but I've done it 2 times now. So this is the third time, Berlin Marathon.
Time to come over to the United States to run some. You have so many beautiful marathons there in you. So do Rome. Rome is fast.
I don't know what will happen with my road marathons because, like I said, I am not that kind of person that would just go and do it for just having fun. And I hate this competitive nature of mine sometimes because it puts me in this block where I don't enjoy it. And if I do not achieve that goal, then everything feels like it's not worth it. So that's why I'm just like, I want to do ultra. So I want to do 100 next year. I was just looking at it. And after that, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. And Dona, one last question for you before we let you go. And it's a very big one. And I've asked it to everybody. And everybody has their own answer for this. Running has changed my life because
Running has changed my life because it really showed me what I was able to handle. It transformed me from a person who accepted life as it was handed to me and tried to navigate it to making me a powerful person who has a say in what happens in our life. I am strong, I am powerful, I am resilient, I am beautiful, and running taught me all of that because that I have value and I'm worthy just because of who I am and not because of everything that's around me. And that all came from committing to bettering myself through running. So it has been a journey that's been amazing.
that is beautiful. And I remember the Rob Williams song right now.
I love that song. I know exactly what song I'm referring
Yeah.
to.
And I think these are all the questions I had for you today. And it was really a nice conversation. And Donna, thank you for coming and then sharing your journey, the highs and low and everything that you showed in between that. Your strength, your resilience, like whatever happened with the fire and everything. And then your passion from hating running, from hate the running to
Hating
now
running.
the passion to running this and doing this inspiring thing like 100 miles and everything like that. So I'll be rooting for you for your BQ because I know that it's gonna happen soon. So yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you for having me. It was such a lovely conversation.
Yes, it is fun. Next time when you do your BQ, so we'll have another session and then we can talk about it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ash. We'll speak soon.
Hey everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the podcast. I hope you really enjoy this conversation. I'll see you again next time with another guest. Until then, happy running.